Hi guys, welcome to my channel, or welcome back if you're new here. Today I'm going to be talking about something that I have always found a fascination with, and I've wanted to dive in on my channel for a really long time, but I just haven't had the courage to do it and didn't know if I could do it. So today I'm going to talk about a killer who kind of took over the internet and was a huge case back in 2008 up until now. Even it's talked about, and a lot of you may know what I'm talking about already, but it is the murder of Travis Alexander, who was murdered by his ex-girlfriend Jodi Arias. I'm going to just jump in and tell you guys about this case. So Jodi Arias was born on July 9th, 1980, and she kind of grew up a little rocky in a poor family. Her parents weren't really there. Her grandparents kind of mostly took care of her. She kind of had in and out jobs. She was a freelance photographer. She lived in Yreka, California for most of her life with her grandparents. Travis Victor Alexander was born on July 28th, 1977. He grew up with parents that were into drugs and alcohol and very abusive, and a horrible upbringing in a poor neighborhood, and kind of built his way up and became a very successful man. Worked very hard for everything he had and was a very well-liked person. He was a motivational speaker. He was a very influential person in the Mormon church, and his family kind of followed his footsteps, and I believe he had like 6 or 7 siblings. And so Travis was kind of on his own for a long time and became extremely successful. So two people who have kind of similar backgrounds somehow meet up together at a convention that Travis either works for or kind of is a part of, since he's a motivational speaker and a salesman. He meets Jodi at this convention in September of 2006. They immediately hit it off. They're very flirtatious. They kind of exchange numbers, and kind of the next few months they get to know each other. Travis lets Jodi know that he is a Mormon and tries to convert her, and it takes till November of 2006 for Travis to successfully convert Jodi to a Mormon. And a lot of people believe that the reason why is because Travis talked about how you cannot marry outside of the Mormon church. So if you're not a Mormon, then Travis could not marry you. And so people thought that Jodi was extremely obsessive and compulsive, so she just turned into a Mormon because that's what she needed in order to stay in Travis's life. So in November of 2006, Travis was actually the one who baptized Jodi into the Mormon church. They continued to keep dating. It's a long distance relationship because Jodi lives in the Palm Spring area with her grandparents still in Yreka, and Travis is still in Mesa, Arizona, where his work is and where he has developed a home and kind of settled down. So they continue to talk. There's over 80,000 emails transferred between them two. So they kind of were dating for quite a while and kind of getting to know each other for 4 or 5 months. So around February of 2007, they start having sex, and in the Mormon church, it's a big thing. It's a very huge sin. They're not supposed to do it. You can be excommunicated from the Mormon church, and Travis is a very active member, and Jodi was just recently baptized. So it's an extremely big deal. So they keep it very hush-hush. They don't tell anybody. They don't let their friends know, nothing. Nobody really knows that they're having sex with each other except for them two. Their relationship continues to grow, but there's still some problems, and they're starting to kind of butt heads a little bit with a couple of things. Mostly they're having conflicts within themselves with religion, especially Travis. He's starting to feel really guilty and not sure what he wants with his life and if this is the right thing to do. So as the months go on, they start to not trust each other. They're starting to fight more often. So Jodi kind of doesn't trust Travis and decides to check his phone, and on June 29th, 2007, they actually break up. What she found through his phone, she believed to be cheating. She didn't like it. She didn't like the shadiness. She felt like she was being cheated on, and like Travis wasn't being faithful enough for her. So they just cut it off. But they continued to see each other and have a relationship that was kind of under the rug. They kind of weren't together, but they were also having sex and still talking on a daily or at least weekly basis. They were still keeping up with each other, occasionally seeing each other, so it wasn't like they completely cut each other out of their lives. So towards the very end of June, early July, Jodi actually decides to move to Mesa, California, which is quite interesting because she recently just broke up with him because she didn't trust him, but she moves to Mesa to be closer to him. She actually gets a place really close to Travis's, and they continue to talk and continue to see each other occasionally and still have sex and be with each other, but they're not actually in a monogamous relationship with each other. Jodi's living there, and Travis kind of starts to move on and kind of wants to close that chapter of his life. So he starts to date other people, and he's a Mormon, so he dates Mormon women. He's not having sex with these people. The Mormon faith is extremely strict with sex, so they are not having sexual relations. He's just kind of dating and kind of seeing what's out there. And Jodi kind of had an idea that this was happening, but she didn't really want to admit it. And so they kind of were at this point in their relationship where they were kind of like a don't ask, don't tell. Like, they didn't want to know that each other were seeing different people, but they kind of already knew that was happening. But Jodi kind of just explained their relationship at this point is not serious, how they weren't thinking about marriage, how it wasn't a serious relationship, and they kind of were just casually hooking up as friends and just wanted to remain friends. But Travis was kind of telling a completely different story to his friends in the Mesa area. Travis had said to friends that he had a stalker who was a woman, and his tires were slashed, and there were just a couple of instances that were weird. And Travis was telling his friends that Jodi would show up and just sleep on his couch and how he felt uncomfortable with her, but he never really mentioned Jodi's actual name. He just said it was an ex and he believed her to be stalking him, but he never really told anybody that it was actually Jodi. So in April of 2008, they finally kind of cut things off for real, except they are continuing to talk and text and send emails to each other. That was like the last time that they saw each other, was in April of 2008, so we thought. Jodi told the investigator that she decided to move back to Yreka, California in April just because she was having financial reasons. She missed her family, and she also kind of wanted to get away from Travis because she didn't think the relationship was going anywhere. It wasn't healthy for either of them. They had trust issues, they were giving each other passwords, and they just were not having a good relationship. So she thought it was best to move back to her hometown and get with her grandparents and get her finances together and kind of get her mental health back together. So Jodi gets a U-Haul and she packs all her stuff in it, and then she stays at Travis's house for a week with him in April of 2008. And Travis decides that he can give her his BMW, but she has to do kind of monthly payments, at least $100 a month, and if she can do more, then that's fine. If not, then at least $100. They make the agreement. So she gets in her U-Haul, she hooks the BMW back up, and she heads out. But she actually ruined the BMW because she put it in first gear whenever she was traveling, so it completely ruined the engine or whatever. So her lawyer and Travis's lawyer kind of go back and forth about who has to pay for it and how to deal with that. So that was kind of where Travis and Jodi had kind of apparently stopped talking and weren't really seeing each other after that, according to Jodi. But they did still send each other messages, and they still talked about visiting each other throughout the month. So April through May of 2008, Jodi and Travis are still not together, but they do continue to have sexual fantasies with each other, and they actually have phone sex, and Jodi records these, and they're actually played during the trial in front of the jury and in front of Travis's family and in front of everybody that was there. So that was humiliating for Travis's family, for Jodi, I'm sure. So clearly they still were having some type of relationship with each other. It just wasn't the Mormon Christian faithful relationship that Travis kind of wanted and was searching for. And around this time, Travis actually had a blog that he posted on, and he talked about how he was ready to find a wife, how he wanted to settle down and find a wife and have a family and have children, and he was tired of kind of just going back and forth. And that was one of the last posts that he actually posted on his blog. So around June 2008, Travis meets, or he kind of already knew a woman by the name of Marie Hall. So Marie Hall and Travis knew each other because of their Mormon faith, and they went to the same singles ward and they hung out a few times, and so they decided to go on a couple of dates and kind of see if there is anything there. So Marie Hall says that they go on 3 dates, and all 3 dates she doesn't feel a spark, she doesn't feel like she's connecting with him, so she kind of just decides that they're not really meant for each other. So she tells Travis after their first couple of dates that she's just not feeling it, and that she still really likes him as a friend. She thinks he's a great guy, they have close relationships with friends, and they go to the same church, so she would still like to really be friends with him. But Travis wins a Cancun trip from the church or some he works for the church or something, and he wins a trip to Cancun. So he's allowed to take a person to Cancun, so he actually asks Marie Hall. And Marie kind of says that she'll think about it just because she doesn't want to give him the wrong vibes. She doesn't want him to think that they're going to be in a relationship. She tells him that she's not really sure that she wants to go. He insists, I want you to go with me. Don't worry. We'll be sleeping in separate bedrooms. It's just a fun place. It'll be fun. She's been there before. She knows where they're going, so she feels comfortable. It's a Mormon thing, so she doesn't think anything's going to happen, so she agrees to go. And this trip is supposed to take place on June 10th of 2008. And Marie last talks to Travis around June 2nd, and they were kind of at like I believe it was like a Saturday church thing where they were kind of talking, and she expected to hear from him just because the trip was coming up close, but she never heard back from him ever again. So she starts to get worried because it's June 9th, 2008, and they go on that trip the next day, and she hasn't heard from him. She's made phone calls to him, and so she gets nervous. She calls her mom. Her mom and her friends insist that she should go over there, so she goes to Travis's house, bangs on the door. Travis's dog, Napoleon, they can see him through the glass door, and he's barking, and he's like really kind of, you can just feel like there's something wrong. They felt like there was something wrong. So she calls her mom. She doesn't know what to do. She calls some friends of his, and they somehow get a code to the garage door, and they go in, and immediately they smell something weird. For some reason she just stays back, and so the other people who came with her, who were friends of Travis's, went to Travis's room, like the section where his room would be in the house, and the door was locked, and they get the door opened, and they find Travis's body slouched over in the shower. There is blood absolutely everywhere, and it's a horrible scene, and it smells awful. So Marie calls the police and runs outside of the place to get the address of Travis's house. So right away investigators noticed that upon entering the place, obviously the place had been staged. Something was manipulated with this murder scene. There was water all over the floor mixed in with blood, as if someone took a cup of water and just poured it all over the place to try to eliminate evidence. And Travis's body looked like it had been washed clean of the blood. There was bedding that was taken from the bedroom and put into the washer, along with a towel that had blood all over it, and there was a camera actually in the washer as well that had gone through a cycle. The bedroom itself and the large closet that Travis had looked fairly normal. The investigators said that nothing looked out of ordinary. There was nothing wrong with it other than the bed was stripped and there was ropes, and they were kind of a little interested in like what that was. They said that there was no blood, there was nothing wrong with the bedroom or the closet. This crime scene was very gruesome. It was horrible. The medical examiner said that the first stab wound, or the first wound at all, would have been a stab to the chest, which was close to the heart. It wasn't fatal, so Travis was able to get up and fight for his life. There was actually a thing called defensive wounds on his hands, so it appeared that he was trying to fight for his life, get this knife away. He was stabbed 27 times, and the medical examiner said then his throat was cut from ear to ear, and that would have been a very fatal death, so he would have most likely died or been unconscious at this point. And then there was a gunshot wound to the left temple, which left the bullet in his left cheek, and that would have been absolutely fatal, and he died. And the medical examiner says that he might have actually been dead before the gunshot even went off, because of the way that the blood happened, and because whenever you die your heart's not pumping, so there's not blood, so it kind of appeared that he was already dead by the time the gunshot went off. And the investigator said that there was blood absolutely everywhere. It was all over the sink. There was blood all over the hallways. They found a piece of hair in the investigation, and they wanted to run that and see whose hair it was. And they found a casing of a .25 caliber bullet. So they had all this evidence, but they just didn't have anything really to kind of connect who did this. And all of Travis's friends immediately point the investigators towards Jodi. So that Sims card that was found, actually there is a program called Encasing, which they can take deleted photographs from a Sims card and they can recover them. So they recover the photo, and there was 3 sets of photos on that camera. The first round of pictures were around 1:42 p.m. on June 4th, 2008. They were sexual photos of Jodi and of Travis in bed. There was nothing wrong with these photos other than they were just sexually graphic. The second round of photos were all of Travis. There was 20 pictures taken of him in the shower. And the start of the photos were around 5:22 p.m. on June 4th, 2008. The third set of photographs were considered to be accidental photographs, which were not meant to be taken. This round of photographs actually makes the case one of the most insane cases of all, just because there's actual photos of the murder being taken place. So 5:31, 44 seconds after the pictures of Travis in the shower, there was pictures of just movement. They couldn't really tell what the picture was of, other than it was in the bathroom and there was up lighting, as if the camera had accidentally gone off. At 5:32 and 5:33 p.m. on June 4th, 2008, there was also pictures taken clearly of someone's leg with their shoe and Travis's body with blood pouring off of it, as if someone was dragging someone down the hallway. They couldn't identify who the picture was of, but they could see that it was Travis's body and that he was alive at that time. So they know that someone took the time to take the camera and try to destroy the evidence, tear the bedding off to try to erase any DNA evidence of that person being there. And clearly this person was close to Travis, and this all leads back to Jodi because she was there, and just at 1:40 they were having sex and they were okay, and then at 5:30 they clearly were in the shower and taking pictures, and then Travis ends up dead. Detective Flores actually gets a phone call from Jodi Arias herself asking about if they have any information, and she said that she would like to help with any way that she can, because her and Travis were really good friends and they were dating before. She kind of talks about her relationship, and she mentions how they kind of had trust issues, and the detective kind of just lets her talk, and she explains how she was absolutely not there at the time, but by this point they were already looking into Jodi's whereabouts leading up to this event, and they already saw the pictures and they already kind of knew that Jodi had possibly something to do with it. And so it was kind of interesting that Jodi immediately called the detective to kind of get information. So on May 28th, 2008, a week before the murder of Travis Alexander, Jodi's grandparents actually reported a .25 caliber gun missing from her grandpa. Jodi kind of explains how she thinks that she needs to hide her laptop under dirty clothes just in case if someone breaks in. So she hides her laptop, and the only thing that goes missing from her is a $20 bill and a $10 bill, and the .25 caliber gun was missing. And the detectives who were on that case kind of thought it was interesting because if it was a burglary, they didn't really take anything. They left high valuable things, so they were kind of not really understanding why this gun went missing. Now keep in mind, that gun is the same type of gun that was shot into Travis Alexander's face. That same day around 9:25 p.m. Jodi actually sends an email to Travis saying how she knows how he's going to Cancun, and he and her kind of talk about how he's taking another person to Cancun. And so this is where the theories start about why Jodi might have killed Travis. June 2nd of 2008, Jodi actually rents a car and goes 90 miles out of her way from Yreka, California to Redding, California to rent a vehicle. The person who rented the vehicle to Jodi said that her hair color had changed because the police showed a picture of Jodi and her hair was blonde at the time, but it changed to brown from June 2nd to June 4th, so they were kind of wondering why that happened, and that was a little weird. She told the person who she was renting the car from that she would have it back by June 6th, but she actually didn't get the car back until June 7th, and it had over 2,000 miles placed on the vehicle. So her excuse for renting the car and leaving was that she was going to go to Utah to see her current boyfriend Ryan Burns. Actually, Ryan Burns said that she was supposed to be there on the 4th, and her excuse for this was that she got lost and she had no idea where she was at, and how she got on Highway 40, and the investigators were like, that's impossible because that's towards Mesa, California, and not towards Utah. And she kind of was just making all these excuses up, and nobody really understood kind of what she was trying to say, and they could kind of tell she was making things up and that she was lying by that point. And Ryan Burns said that he actually tried contacting Jodi on the 4th, but she didn't answer any of his phone calls, and she said the reason why she didn't is because she got lost, like I said before, and also that her phone was dead, so she had no way of getting a hold of him. She arrives in Salt Lake, Utah around 11 a.m. She gets pulled over. They find that the license plate on the front of her car is missing, and the license plate on the back was flipped upside down, and that's illegal in that state and around the California area. And so they go back to Ryan's house. Ryan said he has a meeting to go to and that she can go with him, and so she decides to go with him. They follow each other to this meeting, and then they go back. They have sexual relations, but they don't fully have sex because he's more Mormon as well, and they don't believe in sex before marriage. The car was returned on the 7th of June back to Redding, California. Where I'm going to leave this video off is on June 15th, 2008, they arrested Jodi Arias for the first-degree murder of Travis Alexander, and she continually makes excuses. They have interrogation tapes, and it's all actually insane. And what I'm going to do is make another part of this video if you guys want to hear about the trial and the interrogations, and I also want to make a third part talking about the aftermath, because this case does not end. There are people who believe that she is innocent. There are people who believe that she did nothing, that she was a domestic violence victim. There's people who believe that there was two people. There's people that believe this Ryan Burns guy was part of it. There is so many conspiracy theories wrapped around this murder case, and there's also people who have made music videos. She sells her own artwork. There's people who are trying to get her to have a second trial and to get her released from prison. There's people who sent her so many fan letters that she actually had to have it shut down. So I am very intrigued with this information. So if you guys like this type of video, please let me know so that I know that this is something I should continue to keep doing. If not, that's completely fine. I don't have to make a part 2, but I'm gonna kind of give it a few days and see what the feedback is on this video. And if you guys want to see a part 2 or 3, let me know, and I would kind of go off of there. So I'm not gonna film the part 2 or 3 right now, because if you guys don't enjoy it, then I don't really want to waste time on making it. So let me know what you thought of the video. Let me know what you think of the Jodi Arias trial and case, and her as a person. Do you think she's innocent? Do you think that she was a domestic violence victim? Do you think she was a crazy girlfriend who got upset that he didn't invite her to this trip, and so she went and killed him days before he was supposed to go? What is your opinion? I'll let you know my opinion at the very end of everything. If I make a part 2 and 3, I will kind of explain what my thoughts are on this and on Jodi. So that's where I'm going to end the video today, and I will see you guys very soon. So thank you so much for watching. I will see you guys in my next video. May all your stars align. Goodbye, guys.